The Central Galactic Security Council's emergency alarm blared through the chamber for the third time this cycle. Not the gentle, "oh, a minor species has discovered radio waves" kind of alarm. No, this was the full-blown, "we are all going to die" cacophony that made Commander Vex'talon's 4 auditory canals throb painfully. For the love of the 7 moons, silence that infernal noise. Vex'talon roared, his scaled neck frill extending to its full, impressive circumference. The room fell into blessed silence as his second-in-command, Officer Prill, tapped frantically at her console. Her 6-fingered hands moved with impressive speed across the holographic interface, leaving trails of glowing blue light. "Sir, we have got another human incident," Prill announced, her voice pitched higher than usual. The subtle color change in her facial markings, from a calm turquoise to an alarmed magenta, told Vex'talon everything he needed to know before she even elaborated. "What have those hairless disasters done now?" he asked, already feeling a stress headache forming between his 3 eyes. They appear to have taken a civilian shuttlecraft into the Kragagar Nebula, sir." Vex'talon blinked slowly. The same Kragagar Nebula that contains highly volatile isotopic gas concentrations that ignite upon contact with standard thruster emissions? "The very same, sir. The nebula we have marked with over 3,000 warning beacons in 17 different languages, including their primitive English." "Yes, sir. And they just flew into it? On purpose?" Prill's facial markings darkened further. "According to the transmission we intercepted, one of them said, and I quote, 'Hold my beer, I want to see what happens when I punch it through that pretty purple cloud.'" The commander collapsed back into his gravity chair, which helpfully adjusted to accommodate his slumping posture. Those words, those cursed words, how many times have we heard them now? "Hold my beer" has been flagged in our security protocols 973 times since we first encountered the humans, sir. It automatically triggers a level red emergency response. "As it should," Vex'talon muttered. "And what happened to the shuttle?" Prill hesitated, which wasn't like her. "They survived, sir." "Of course they did." Vex'talon rubbed his central eye with a scaled finger. "How?" "They somehow modulated their thruster emissions to create a controlled burn pattern through the nebula, essentially riding the explosion like a wave. They are calling it nebulous surfing. They have already uploaded instructional videos to their Interstellar network." "Perfect. Just perfect." Vex'talon stood up abruptly. "Send a patrol to escort them back to their territory and update the warning beacons with explicit references to not surfing the nebula. Though I doubt it will help. They seem to interpret our warnings as challenges." The door to the council chamber hissed open, and in strode Ambassador Zolatep, the Centaurian representative. Her crystalline exoskeleton clicked rhythmically as she approached, radiating disapproval from every facet. "Commander Vex'talon, this is the 3rd human-related emergency this week. First, they accidentally created a micro black hole while trying to, what did they call it? Pimp their quantum toaster. Then they introduced those horrific Earth creatures called raccoons to the diplomatic space station because they thought the ambassador from Rigel would find them cute. And now this." "I'm well aware, Ambassador," Vex'talon replied drily. "Perhaps if your people hadn't been so eager to trade advanced technology for Earth's coffee beans, we wouldn't be in this mess." The ambassador's crystalline face couldn't form expressions, but the sudden red glow emanating from within her transparent body conveyed her embarrassment perfectly. The Centaurian High Council could not have predicted that humans would use quantum mechanics to make better breakfast appliances, she protested. "They use everything for purposes no sane species would consider." Vex'talon snackbeth. "They have turned planet-cracking mining equipment into entertainment venues. They race ships through asteroid fields for fun. They have domesticated apex predators and put cute outfits on them." "Sir," Prill interrupted, "we are receiving a transmission from the humans now." "Put on screen," Vex'talon sighed, straightening his command uniform. "Let's hear their explanation this time." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the smiling face of a human female with dark hair pulled back into what they called a ponytail. A bizarre name considering humans had no tails to speak of. Her face was flushed with excitement, her eyes unervingly wide and alert. "Heya, Commander Vex. Jessica Parker here, captain of the Good Times Rolling. Sorry about the little detour through the no-fly zone, But you would not believe the sensor readings we got. This could revolutionize fuel efficiency for the whole quadrant. Vex'talon forced his neck frill to remain flat, a gesture of diplomatic restraint that cost him considerable effort. Captain Parker, you deliberately ignored nearly 3,000 warning beacons to enter a lethal gas cloud. The human had the audacity to grin wider. Yeah, but hear me out, we are fine. And now we know how to safely navigate it. Win-win, right? The warnings were there because the nebula is also a sacred burial ground for the Kragmathi species. Ambassador Zolotep interjected. You have disturbed their ancestral remains. Oh, Jessica's smile faltered momentarily. Well, we will send them a really nice gift basket or something. With chocolates? Everyone loves chocolates. Vex'talon felt a growl building in his throat. Captain Parker, you and your vessel will report immediately to Outpost 7 for debriefing and formal reprimand. Totally. We are on our way. But first, quick question. Is it true you guys have never been to the center of the quantum vortex in Sector 9? Because Dave here has this crazy theory about, and no. All three council members shouted in unison. Geez, okay. No need to yell. Parker out. The screen went dark. They're going to try to visit the quantum vortex, aren't they? Prill asked quietly. Dispatch 3 interceptor ships immediately, Vex'talon ordered, and send a formal complaint to the Human Diplomatic Corps. Again, after Prill left to carry out his orders, Vex'talon turned to the ambassador. We need to discuss implementing stricter protocols for human activities in regulated space. What we need, Ambassador Zolotep replied, her crystalline body now pulsing with concerned blue light, is to understand why they are like this. No species we have encountered in 9,000 years of galactic exploration has been so recklessly stupid, yet impossibly lucky. Vex'talon suggested. Precisely. Actually, came a new voice. There might be an explanation for that. Both turned to see Dr. Nix'atar entering the chamber, his hover platform gliding smoothly across the polished floor. The Quilarian scientist was the Council's foremost xenobiologist, specializing in emergent sentient species. His small body was dwarfed by his enormous head, which housed one of the most brilliant minds in the galaxy. Doctor, Vex'talon greeted him with a respectful bow. You have insights on the human problem? I have been studying their evolutionary history, Dr. Nix'atar said, manipulating his datapad to project a holographic display. And I believe I have identified the source of their unique approach to danger. The hologram showed primitive humans wielding crude spears, facing creatures many times their size. Humans evolved as persistence predators on a death world, the doctor explained. Most species that achieve sentience do so through environmental pressures that favor increased brain capacity for survival. Finding food, avoiding predators, that sort of thing. Standard evolutionary theory. Ambassador Zolotep noted impatiently. What's your point? My point, Ambassador, is that humans went a different route. They evolved big brains, yes, but unlike most sentient species, they didn't use them primarily for caution or careful planning. They used them to take bigger risks. Dr. Nix'atar switched the hologram to show humans crossing a vast ocean in primitive wooden vessels. See, most species that encounter a barrier like an ocean evolve to live within their ecological niche. Humans look at the ocean and thought, I wonder what's on the other side. Then they built leaky death traps out of trees and paddled across. That's insane, Vex'talon said. Exactly, Dr. Nix'atar exclaimed, his enormous eyes blinking rapidly with excitement. And the ones who succeeded passed on their genes. They have been naturally selecting for calculated risk-taking for thousands of years. The hologram changed again, showing humans in primitive flying machines, then crude space vessels, each more dangerous looking than the last. Every major human advancement came from someone doing something that, by any reasonable standard, should have killed them, the doctor continued. But here's the fascinating part. They have developed cultural systems specifically to encourage this behavior. The hold my beer phenomenon, Vex'talon muttered. Precisely. It's a ritualistic challenge phrase. When one human says it to another, they're essentially announcing, I am about to do something so monumentally ill-advised that I need you to hold my intoxicating beverage while I demonstrate my genetic fitness through this potentially fatal activity. Ambassador Zolotep's crystalline body flickered with disbelief. And this is normal for them? Completely normal. In fact, I have identified several variations. Watch this. Hey y'all, check this out. And my personal favorite, it can't be that dangerous. Vex'talon paced the chamber, his claws clicking against the floor. So what you are telling me is that we are dealing with an entire species of thrill-seeking danger addicts who have evolved to survive situations that would kill any reasonable being? In essence, yes, Dr. Nix'atar confirmed cheerfully. And the truly remarkable thing is how often their ridiculous gambles pay off. That nebulous surfing maneuver? No sane species would attempt it. But now they have discovered a new propulsion technique. It's happened throughout their history. Someone does something monumentally stupid, somehow survives, and their entire civilization advances as a result. Vex'talon stopped pacing. So what do we do about them? We can't just let them careen around the galaxy, ignoring safety protocols and sacred sites. Dr. Nix'atar's hover platform drifted closer. I've been developing a theory about that too. What if, instead of trying to restrict them, we channel them? Channel them? Ambassador Zolotep asked, her tone suspicious. Think about it. Every time humans encounter a problem, they solve it in some bizarre, unprecedented way that often creates 3 new problems, but also generates a revolutionary breakthrough. What if we presented them with some of our most intractable scientific and engineering challenges? Vex'talon's neck frill fluttered thoughtfully. You mean like the Turner asteroid belt that's on collision course with 3 inhabited planets? Exactly. Dr. Nix'atar bobbed enthusiastically on his platform. We have calculated that redirecting those asteroids would require energy output beyond anything our technology can currently generate. But humans? They'd probably strap rockets to the asteroids or create some kind of gravity lasso or something equally preposterous, and probably blow up a moon in the process, Ambassador Zolotep added drily. Perhaps, the doctor admitted, but the inhabited planets would be saved. Before Vex'talon could respond, his communicator chimed. Commander, this is Prill. We have intercepted the humans, but sir, they are not heading for the quantum vortex. Thank the ancient stars for small mercies, Vex'talon muttered. Where are they going? They appear to be on course for the Turner asteroid belt, sir. They're transmitting plans for something they are calling the biggest game of cosmic billiards ever. Their ship is towing what looks like, sir, I think it might be a homemade mass driver. Vex'talon and Dr. Nix'atar exchanged looks of disbelief. Did you know about this? Vex'talon asked the scientist. I swear on my 14 degrees, I did not, Dr. Nix'atar replied, looking both horrified and impressed. Though I must say, a mass driver approach isn't entirely without merit. If they could calculate the proper trajectory to create a cascading deflection effect. Prill, Vex'talon interrupted, dispatch a scientific observation team to monitor the humans from a safe distance. And when I say safe distance, I mean at least half a light year. Yes, sir. As the communication ended, Ambassador Zolotep's crystalline form pulsed with amber light, the Centaurian equivalent of a sigh. Are we really going to let them attempt this? Vex'talon stared at the holographic display, now showing the trajectory of the human vessel as it hurtled toward one of the galaxy's most dangerous natural disasters. Doctor, he said finally, what would happen if we tried to stop them? Dr. Nix'atar made a whistling sound through his respiratory slits, the Quillarian equivalent of a chuckle. Based on my research into human psychology, they'd see it as a challenge. They'd probably come up with something even more outlandish, possibly involving antimatter or domesticated black holes. Domesticated black holes aren't possible, Ambassador Zolotep scoffed. Both Vex'talon and Dr. Nix'atar stared at her. What? She demanded. 3 Earth years ago, Vex'talon said slowly, a human physicist named Dr. Tanya Jackson was told by the Galactic Science Academy that controlled microsingularities were theoretically impossible. 2 weeks later, Dr. Nix'atar continued. She showed up at the Academy's annual conference with what she called a pet black hole named Spot, kept in a containment field she designed in her garage. Ambassador Zolotep's crystalline body momentarily lost its color entirely. You are joking. The Academy gave her 7 scientific awards and then immediately created new regulations prohibiting unregistered singularities in populated areas, Vex'talon said, after she used it to power her ship's espresso machine. The commander turned to the main view screen, bringing up a secure channel to the Council's highest authority. Grand Arbiter, he said when the ancient, tentacled visage of their superior appeared. I'm requesting special dispensation for Human Activity Protocol 17B. The Grand Arbiter's many eyes blinked in sequence. Let them try their insane plan, because stopping them will only make things worse protocol? Granted. But Commander, consider implementing Protocol 23A as well. They secretly have a real solution ready when they inevitably cause a bigger problem, Protocol. Already in progress, sir. Good. And Vex'talon. May the cosmos have mercy on us all. Grand Arbiter out. As the screen darkened, Vex'talon turned to his companions. Well, looks like we are witnessing humanity's first attempt at galactic scale pool. I suggest we prepare for both miraculous success and catastrophic failure. Simultaneously, how do they even survive as a species? Ambassador Zolotep wondered aloud. Dr. Nix'atar's hover platform bobbed thoughtfully. That, Ambassador, is the 9 trillion credit question, and I have a feeling we are about to get another demonstration of the answer. Wonderful, Vex'talon muttered, heading for the door. I will be in my quarters, updating my will. And someone find me one of those human beers. I have a feeling I'm going to need it. As the door hissed shut behind him, the emergency alarm began to blare once more. I'd be happy to continue and complete the story. Here's part 2 of approximately 2,450 words to finish the story without repetition. The observation deck of the Galactic Council's premier science vessel, Truth Seeker, offered an unparalleled view of what would either be humanity's greatest achievement or their most spectacular failure. Commander Vex'talon stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the distant human ship maneuvering near the first asteroid of the Terraner Belt. Are they actually attaching something to the asteroid? Ambassador Zolotep asked, her crystalline form refracting the starlight into dazzling patterns across the deck. Dr. Nix'atar adjusted the magnification on his specialized viewing apparatus. Indeed, it appears to be some sort of propulsion device. No, wait, it's more complex than that. Vex'talon took a swig from the bottle of cosmic stout that one of his officers had procured from the human diplomatic exchange. The bitter liquid burned his throat, but he was beginning to understand the appeal. Perhaps there was something to this liquid courage concept, after all. Patch me through to their vessel, he ordered. The communications officer nodded, and moments later, Captain Jessica Parker's face appeared on the main screen, her expression unnervingly cheerful given the circumstances. Commander Vex, glad you could make it to the show. She was wearing what appeared to be a helmet with the words Safety Third emblazoned across it. Captain Parker, Vex'talon began, struggling to maintain his diplomatic tone, would you care to explain what exactly you are attempting here? Oh, sure thing. She gestured enthusiastically with a wrench that seemed comically large for her human frame. So, we heard about your little asteroid problem. And Dave here. Say hi, Dave. The camera swung wildly to show a human male with facial hair floating outside the ship, wearing only what appeared to be minimal protection against the vacuum of space. He waved cheerfully while attaching something to the asteroid's surface. Dave majored in physics and minored in pool hustling at university, and he figured, hey, if you hit this first asteroid just right, you could create a chain reaction that would nudge the whole belt into a stable orbit around that gas giant over there. She pointed vaguely off camera. That's actually not an entirely unsound approach, Dr. Nix'atar muttered, earning him a sharp look from both the commander and the ambassador. The calculations for such a maneuver would take our most advanced computers weeks to process, Vex'talon pointed out. The variables involved in multi-body gravitational interactions are, we did on a napkin during lunch, Jessica interrupted, waving dismissively. Well, they did most of it. I mostly drew doodles of what the explosions might look like. Speaking of which, you guys might want to back up another few million kilometers. This baby's going to be loud. Explosions? Ambassador Zolotep's crystalline form flashed alarming red. You said this was a mass driver approach. Well, yeah, but we needed something with a bit more oomph, so we're using a controlled antimatter detonation instead. Antimatter? All 3 council members shouted in unison. Jessica winced, adjusting something in her ear. Geez, volume people. Yes, antimatter. Just a teensy bit. We got it from that nice Andorian merchant who hangs out near Jupiter. Don't worry, we're being super careful. Dave triple-checked the containment field. The camera swung back to Dave, who gave a thumbs up while balancing what looked suspiciously like a sandwich in his other hand. Is he eating in space? Ambassador Zolotep asked incredulously. PB&J breaks weight for no crisis. Jessica replied solemnly. Anyway, we are about to light this candle, so you might want to switch to your fancy sensors. The visual light show is going to be pretty epic. Captain Parker, Vex'talon interjected urgently. The Galactic Council has not authorized the use of antimatter weapons in civilian space. Not a weapon, Commander. Just a really enthusiastic nudge. She grinned. Besides, you guys were taking forever to solve this problem. Those planets are getting closer to the impact trajectory every day. We were developing a comprehensive, carefully tested plan that wouldn't risk creating an even bigger catastrophe. Jessica's expression turned surprisingly serious for a moment. With all due respect, Commander, what you guys were planning, we were doing. Sometimes you just got to take the shot. Then her grin returned. T-minus 30 seconds. Parker out. The screen went dark. Move us back another 5 million kilometers. Vex'talon ordered immediately. Sir, his navigation officer protested. We will barely be able to observe that's an order. Full emergency thrust. As the Truth Seeker pulled away from the asteroid field, Dr. Nix'atar was frantically inputting calculations into his datapad. If they have miscalculated even slightly, the chain reaction could send fragments toward populated systems. The Prander colonies are particularly vulnerable. I have alerted our defense fleet to stand by. Officer Pro reported. But if this goes wrong, we won't be able to intercept all debris. Those reckless, irresponsible. Ambassador Zolotep began, but was interrupted by a blinding flash that temporarily overwhelmed the observation deck's automatic filters. When they could see again, the forward view screen showed a spectacular sight. The first asteroid was moving, precisely as the humans had planned, on a collision course with the second massive rock in the belt. The impact was perfect, sending the second asteroid careening into a third, and then a fourth. It's working, Dr. Nix'atar whispered, his enormous eyes wide with disbelief. Their calculations were correct. Impossible, Vex'talon muttered, but the evidence was unfolding before them. One by one, the largest bodies in the asteroid belt were colliding and deflecting, each impact sending them closer to the gas giant's gravitational pull. The gas giant is capturing them, Prill confirmed, checking her readings. The trajectory shift it's exactly as they predicted. The threat to the inhabited planets is neutralizing. For several long moments, the bridge was silent except for the soft beeping of instruments. Then Ambassador Zolotep spoke what they were all thinking. They solved in one day what our best scientists couldn't resolve in a year. With antimatter and pool physics, Vex'talon added, his voice flat with disbelief. Actually, Dr. Nix'atar interjected, his hover platform bobbing excitedly. This is a perfect example of what I was explaining earlier. No species other than humans would have attempted such an outlandish approach because the risk seemed too great. But their evolutionary predisposition toward calculated risk-taking, combined with their unique try-it-and-see problem-solving approach, led to a solution we wouldn't have considered viable. They could have destroyed half the sector, Ambassador Zolotep pointed out. But they didn't, the doctor replied. Just like they didn't die surfing the nebula or create a black hole apocalypse with their quantum experiments. Do you see the pattern? They take these enormous risks, but somehow manage to succeed. The communications officer interrupted. Sir, incoming transmission from the human vessel. Put them on screen, Vex'talon sighed. Jessica Parker appeared, high-fiving her crew members in what appeared to be a celebration. Her helmet was askew, and she was grinning from ear to ear. Boom! Cosmic billiards for the win. Did you see that? Tell me you recorded that. Dave, please tell me someone recorded that. An off-screen voice replied. Got an 8K ultra slow-mo, Captain. Captain Parker, Vex'talon said, trying to keep his voice even, while the immediate results appear favorable. The Galactic Council will need to conduct a thorough investigation into your unauthorized use of antimatter and interference with a Council-designated disaster zone. Jessica's smile didn't falter. Sure. Happy to fill out all the paperwork. But quick question. Those 3 planets we just saved? How many people live there? The combined population of the three worlds is approximately 12 billion sentients, Dr. Nix'atar supplied. Cool, cool. So, about those regulations, Vex'talon felt his neck frill fluttering with frustration. The regulations exist for good reason, Captain. Your approach could have 12 billion lives, Commander, Jessica interrupted, suddenly serious again. Sometimes rules need to be broken when the stakes are that high. Before Vex'talon could respond, alarms began blaring on the Truth Seeker's bridge. Sir, Prill called out, we are detecting a gravitational anomaly forming near the gas giant. What? Vex'talon turned away from screen. What kind of anomaly? It appears the mass redistribution is causing unexpected interactions with the gas giant's core, Dr. Nix'atar reported, frantically analyzing the incoming data. The sudden influx of material is triggering a compression cascade in the planet's metallic hydrogen layer. In simple terms, Doctor, Vex'talon snapped. The gas giant is collapsing. It's going to ignite. A stunned silence fell over the bridge. Then Jessica's voice came from a still-active communication channel. Wait, are you saying we just accidentally created a star? Not yet, Dr. Nix'atar replied, his voice trembling with scientific excitement despite the circumstances. But the compression process has begun. Within days, perhaps weeks, the hydrogen will reach fusion temperatures. Is it dangerous? Ambassador Zolotep demanded. Actually, the doctor said slowly, it's potentially beneficial. The Terraner system has always been unstable because it lacks a proper star. If the gas giant ignites in a controlled manner, it could create a stable K-class star. The three inhabited planets would need to be temporarily evacuated during the transition, but afterward, they'd have a proper sun. Their entire quality of life would improve dramatically. Jessica let out a whoop of delight. We solved the asteroid problem and gave him a son. Someone get Dave another sandwich. This calls for a celebration. Vex'talon felt a headache forming between his three eyes. Captain Parker, you did not give them a son. You triggered an unexpected stellar ignition event that could still result in disaster if not properly managed. Tamu, Jessica replied with a shrug. Look, we got some leftover antimatter. We could use it to stabilize the compression rate if your science guys tell us where to put it. Absolutely not. Vex'talon, Ambassador Zolotep, and Dr. Nix'atar all shouted simultaneously. Fine. Jessica held up her hands in surrender. But our offer stands. Oh, and before I forget, she reached off-screen and pulled something into view. We brought souvenirs. She held up what appeared to be a chunk of asteroid, carved into a crude drinking vessel. Asteroid mugs. One for each of you. Perfect for whatever weird stuff you guys drink when you're celebrating saving 12 billion lives and making a new star. Vex'talon stared at the screen for a long moment, then turned to his communications officer. Cut the transmission. As Jessica's cheerful face disappeared from the screen, Vex'talon collapsed into his command chair. Doctor, how long do we have before the gas giant reaches critical compression? Based on current readings, approximately 72 hours, Dr. Nix'atar replied, still frantically analyzing data. But the process appears remarkably stable so far. The humans may have accidentally hit upon the perfect trigger mechanism. How is that possible? Ambassador Zolotep demanded. They couldn't have calculated this outcome. No one could. That's the thing about humans, the doctor replied thoughtfully. They don't just get lucky. It's almost as if they have an instinct for the universe's underlying patterns that our more methodical approach sometimes misses. Vex'talon took another swig of the human beer, which was starting to taste better with each passing crisis. Send out the evacuation order for the 3 planets. Priority transport, full emergency protocol. And somebody get me the Grand Arbiter. And the humans, sir? Prill asked. Escort them back to their territory. Give them a formal commendation for saving the inhabited worlds, and a formal reprimand for unauthorized use of antimatter. And for the love of the ancient stars, make sure they don't have any more of it hidden somewhere. As his crew hurried to carry out his orders, Vex'talon found himself alone with Dr. Nix'atar and Ambassador Zolotep. I was wrong about them, the ambassador admitted quietly, her crystalline form pulsing with thoughtful blue light. They're not merely reckless. They are something else entirely. They are humans, Dr. Nix'atar said simply. The most terrifying and wonderful paradox the galaxy has ever known. Vex'talon gazed out at the distant gas giant, already showing signs of the transformation that would turn it into a star. The question is, what do we do about them now? I have a proposal, the doctor said. Instead of trying to contain them, which clearly doesn't work, we create a new Galactic Council division specifically for human incidents. A rapid response team. Vex'talon considered the idea. It could work. But who would lead it? Dr. Nix'atar's hover platform bobbed meaningfully. No, Vex'talon said firmly. Not me. I'm 6 cycles away from retirement. I have earned my peaceful final years. With respect, Commander, the doctor replied. You are the only one who's had any success dealing with them. You understand them better than anyone else in council space. I don't understand them at all. They defy all logic and reason. Exactly, Dr. Nix'atar agreed. And yet, you have adapted. You have learned to expect the unexpected. That's precisely what this new division would need in a leader. Before Vex'talon could protest further, his communicator chimed. Commander, came Prill's voice, the human vessel is requesting permission to, stick around and watch the star being born. Captain Parker says, and I quote, this is going to look amazing on our social media feeds. Vex'talon closed all 3 of his eyes briefly. Tell them they may observe from a safe distance, defined by our scientists, not theirs, and only if they surrender any remaining antimatter. Yes, sir. After the communication ended, Vex'talon turned back to his companions. You realize this is just the beginning, don't you? Now that they have successfully tackled the asteroid belt, they will be looking for bigger challenges. The temporal nexus in Sector 12 has been causing localized time distortions, Ambassador Zolotep suggested, her tone only half joking. Don't even say it, Vex'talon groaned. With our luck, they are already planning an expedition. Actually, Dr. Nix'atar said, checking his data pad, according to their public research networks, a human physicist named Dr. Marcus Wong has just published a paper titled Surfing the Time Stream: Theoretical Approaches to Temporal Wave Navigation. Vex'talon and the ambassador stared at him in horror. Please tell me you are joking, Vex'talon said. I never joke about scientific publications, the doctor replied solemnly. The paper has already been downloaded over 10,000 times from the human network. Vex'talon drained the last of his beer. Prill. Yes, Commander. Begin drafting protocols for a new council division. Classification, Human Incident Response Team. And find me more of this beer. I have a feeling we're going to need a lot of it. As the Truth Seeker's engines hummed, carrying them toward what would soon be the newest star in the galaxy, Vex'talon couldn't help but reflect on the strange, hairless creatures who had so thoroughly disrupted galactic civilization. They were dangerous, unpredictable, and completely irresponsible. And yet, here they were, watching the birth of a star that would bring warmth and life to 3 worlds that had known only dim light and bitter cold. Perhaps, just perhaps, the galaxy needed a little human chaos after all. Far behind them, on the bridge of the Good Times Rolling, Captain Jessica Parker raised her asteroid mug in a toast with her crew. To cosmic billiards, she declared, and to whatever crazy adventure we try next. Hey, said Dave, examining his tablet with sudden interest, has anyone ever tried to stabilize a black hole using quantum entanglement? Jessica's eyes lit up. Hold my beer. And somewhere in the vast administrative complex of the Galactic Security Council, alarms began to blare once more.